There was a last time you carried your kid on your shoulders, their hands gripping your forehead, their weight pressing down, their laugh right above your ear. You set them down that day, like always, and you never picked them up again. It wasn't a big day. Maybe you were tired, maybe your back ached a little, maybe you were already thinking about dinner. You had no idea it was the last one. Nobody rang a bell. Nobody said, "This is it." Same with the last book you read them to sleep. You closed it, turned off the lamp, kissed their head. An ordinary night. You thought there'd be 1,000 more. There were only a few, and then there were none. That's the thing about the last time of anything. It almost never announces itself. It wears the same clothes as the ordinary time before it, and walks right past you. And by the time you notice it's gone, it's long gone. For a long time, I thought that was just the cruelty of it, that the good things slip away unmarked and there's nothing to be done. It isn't. Stay with me. There's something in all this worth keeping, and it's kinder than it looks. It stung, that ride ending without a bell to mark it. And there is a reason it caught you off guard. You have a whole drawer full of firsts and not a single photo of a last. Think of everything we built a little ceremony around. First steps, with 3 grown adults crouched on the floor cheering. First tooth. First day of school, that kid frozen on the porch with a backpack bigger than they are. We are wired for beginnings. A beginning promises something. It leans forward. It says, look what is starting, look what this could become. So we grab the camera and we make a fuss, because there is a future to root for. But an ending looks backward, and we do not want to look. Nobody throws a party for the last diaper, the last time you zip a coat for someone. We are relieved to move past those, so we let them go unmarked. And honestly, thank goodness we do not mark them all. If we held a ceremony for every last thing, life would be one long funeral. The mercy is that we get to keep walking forward without stopping to mourn each door that closes behind us. Here is the trade, though, and it is worth naming now. Because we never learned to notice endings the way we notice beginnings, the last slip past with no witness at all. So the small mercy I have found is simple. Once in a while, just look back on purpose. So the endings slip past unmarked, and here is why they hide so well. A last time looks exactly like every time before it. Same kitchen, same light, same worn joke you didn't know you were telling for the final time. There's no music that swells, no signal in the air, just an ordinary afternoon that behaves like all the others, right up until it quietly becomes the one you'd give anything to have back. And that's the cruelty of it. The good moments don't wear a warning label. If they did, you'd hold on tighter. But the last one arrives dressed as just another Wednesday, indistinguishable from the 100 that came before. Here's the small mercy in that, though. Because you didn't get the warning, you weren't bracing, you laughed at the joke for real. You weren't standing outside the moment, mourning it. You were simply in it. So this is what I started doing, and it changed things. When a plain moment feels good, I say it out loud. Just to myself, this is a good one. Not to freeze it. Just to catch it while it's still here. You can't tell which ordinary moment is the last. That door stays closed. But you can learn to notice the ordinary ones that are still open, the ones happening right now, disguised as nothing special at all. It is not just the calendar that ends things without a Tuesday to mark it. Kids do the same. They stop needing you the way milk goes warm in the fridge. Slowly. Without a moment you can point to. There was a last time your child reached up for your hand in a parking lot. Automatic. Trusting. And then one day the hand stayed down, and you never noticed the switch got flipped. Nobody rang a bell. And honestly, some of it was a relief. The last time you wiped a face, tied a shoe, carried a sleeping body up the stairs at midnight, your back thanked you. You just didn't know you were being thanked for the last time. The last bedtime story is the cruelest one, because it looked exactly like the 400 before it. Same book, same voice for the wolf. Then a night came when they read to themselves, and the chair by the bed just sat empty. Here is what I finally understand, and it changes how I meet the ones I've got left. These endings don't crash. They fade, which means you can't wait for a signal. There isn't one. So you notice the ordinary while your hand is still being reached for. Remember the small feet padding down the hall at 2 in the morning? The whispered, "There's a monster," the climb into your bed, the cold toes against your leg? You groaned every time, and you would give a year of sleep to feel those cold toes now. That climbing in stopped one night for good, and no alarm went off. So I stopped waiting for alarms. When mine still calls for something small, a ride, a question, I hold that a beat longer now. Not clinging, just awake to the fact that needing you fades. It is not just the ones under your own roof who slip away by fading. There is a friend somewhere out there who used to know everything, and you cannot remember the last time you really talked. You had a person once, the one who answered on the first ring, who knew the story before you finished it. You did not fight. Nothing broke. That is the strange part. Nobody did anything wrong at all. There was a last coffee, a booth by the window, 2 mugs going cold, the 2 of you laughing about something neither of you would remember. You said, "We should do this more often." You meant it, and you both drove home. Then a job move. A marriage got busy. The kids had games on the same weekends. Every skipped call felt small, because you always figured there would be another. The drift is made of 1,000 reasonable postponements. Here is what I've finally understood. You do not have to win them back or grieve them like they died. You just pick up the phone, not for the perfect reunion, or a 5-minute call that says, "I was thinking about you today." Most of them are not gone. They are just waiting, same as you, for someone to break the silence first. So be the one who does, because the drift only wins if nobody reaches back across it. People are not the only things you leave without knowing it. Buildings do it too. There was a last night you slept in the room where you grew up, and you slept right through it, no idea it was the last. You know the room I mean. The ceiling you memorized, the exact spot the streetlight hit the wall, the door that stuck a little. You could walk it blind, and part of you still can. And here is the small mercy in it. Because you did not know, you did not lie there mourning. You just slept easy, the way you slept 1,000 ordinary nights. The room got a real goodbye without either of you making a fuss. Then there was the last holiday in the family home. The last time everyone squeezed around that table before a sign went up in the yard and strangers walked through measuring the walls with their eyes. Nobody stood up and said, "This is the last one." You carved, you argued about the same old thing, somebody fell asleep in the chair. It felt like every year before it. That is exactly why it counted. So if there is a place you can still stand in, an old house, a childhood street, go stand in it while you can, not to grieve it, just to say quietly, "I was here, this was mine." That naming is the whole trick, and you can start today. You leave the house you grew up in, and you take the people with you in your mind exactly as they were. Your mother in that kitchen, quick and sure. Your father lifting a whole tree of furniture like it weighed nothing. That was the version of them your whole childhood ran on. The ones who knew what to do, the ones you called when something broke, there was a last time you saw them that way, and I promise you did not notice it happening. It creeps in so slow. One visit your father asks you to reach the top shelf. One phone call your mother has to ask you what the doctor meant. Nothing dramatic. Just a hand held out where a hand never used to be. And here is the mercy hidden in it. Because the change comes gradually, you get to keep loving them the whole way through. There is no single terrible morning when the strong parent vanishes. There is only a long, quiet handing over. The roles reverse without a ceremony. One day you are cutting the food on their plate. One day you are the one driving, and they are watching the road from the passenger seat, the way you used to watch them. So I stopped waiting to notice the last strong day, because you never will. Instead, I started noticing the ordinary ones while they are still here. The way she still tells that same story. The way he still fixes his own coffee. Small, present, not gone yet. You will not catch the last time they were strong, but you can catch the ordinary today, the phone that still rings, the voice that still knows your name. That noticing does not bring the strong years back. It just lets you be inside the ones you still have. You watched your parents' bodies quietly change, and the whole time yours was keeping a list of its own. Not the big surprises, the small retirements it never bothered to announce. There was a last time you ran flat out, arms pumping, not to catch anything, just because you could. You did not know it was the last one. Nobody does. The last pickup game. The last time you jumped off something and landed like it was nothing. Somewhere in there, jumping just quietly stopped being on the menu, and no one sent a memo. Here is what I have learned to do with that. Not more in the running. But when a knee holds up on the stairs, when a morning shows up without an ache, I catch it. That is a good day, not a given. You get up slower now, and you make a little sound doing it. And honestly, so what? The body is not betraying you. It is just handing back a few things it lent you, one at a time, gently. So I stopped waiting for the dramatic last time. It rarely comes as one. Instead, I notice what still works today and use it. Dance badly at the wedding. Carry the box up yourself, while the body still says yes. The body files its lasts quietly, and so does everything else you never thought to save. There is a voice sitting in your phone right now that you have not played in months. You keep meaning to, and you never do. You know the message I mean. Running late, be there soon, call me back. Nothing in it. 30 seconds of nothing. And now it is the only recording of a voice you would give a year of your life to hear ask an ordinary question again. Here's the strange mercy in that. The message you kept was never meant to be kept. It was disposable, a nothing errand. Which means it caught the person exactly as they were, unposed, mid-sentence, alive and busy, and completely themselves. So here is what I do differently now. When someone I love leaves a message that makes me smile, I do not let the machine decide. I save it that same day. Not the important ones, the silly ones, the ones that sound the most like them. It is the same with a scrap of handwriting. The grocery list in your mother's hand. The note left on the counter, back in a minute, love you. You would not frame that. You throw those away by the 100 until you cannot get another one. So keep one. Not for the grief of it, for the ordinariness of it. Tuck a sticky note in a book. Let the voicemail live. The smallest traces are the ones that survive us. And they are almost always the ones we nearly threw out. You kept that voicemail, but keeping it is only half the ache. The other half is quieter, and it lives in the moment itself, in the version of you who is there and barely looked up. Because here is the part that stings. You were probably distracted, answering an email while your kid told you the whole plot of a movie. half listening to your mother on speaker while you unloaded the dishwasher. And later, when it turned out to be the last one, the memory rewrites itself. You do not remember what they said. You remember that you were not really there. That is a specific kind of guilt, and pretending it is not real helps no one. But even now, sitting in that guilt, there is something worth noticing. The reason it hurts is that you loved them. Nobody feels this over a stranger. The regret is proof of the size of the thing. So here is what I do with it now. When I catch myself half there, I put the phone face down. Not forever. Just for the length of one sentence someone is saying to me. That small correction is the whole lesson. You cannot rewind the last one you missed, but you can stop missing the ones happening in front of you right now. That is not penance for the guilt. It is just the wiser thing the guilt is trying to teach you. So here is the thing I wish someone had said to me while I was busy blaming myself for all of it. You were never supposed to know. Nobody handed you the schedule. There was no way to read that ordinary afternoon. And think for a second about the alternative. Imagine actually living every moment braced for it to be the last. Every bedtime a funeral. Every goodbye at the door a rehearsal for grief. You would not survive a week of that. You could not have hugged your kid one more time knowing it was the last. Because if you had known, it would not have been a hug. It would have been you performing a goodbye, clinging, weeping, ruining the very moment you were trying to save. That is the strange mercy of not knowing. The last time your mother stood at her own stove making the thing only she could make, you gotta just eat it. Complain the potatoes were cold. Be an ordinary, ungrateful, comfortable child of hers. The guilt you have been carrying assumes there was a version of you that should have caught it. There wasn't. The distracted you, the tired you, the you scrolling the phone during what turned out to be the last one, that was just a human being living a life, not a crime. So set the guilt down, not because the loss did not matter, but because you were doing exactly what you were built to do, trusting that tomorrow would look like today. That trust is not carelessness. It is how anyone gets through a life at all. So if you were never going to know, if the not knowing was a mercy, then let me tell you the strange gift hidden inside it. Because you did not know it was the last time, you were actually there, fully. Ordinarily. Think of that last bedtime story you read. You were not performing a goodbye. You were half tired, wanting to get downstairs, reading in the voice you always used. And that is exactly why it was real. A marked goodbye is a stiff thing. You would have held on too hard, made it heavy, watched yourself feeling it instead of just feeling it. The camera comes out, and everyone freezes into a version of themselves. But the ordinary last coffee with the friend who drifted away? You laughed with your whole face. You complained about nothing. You were unguarded because nobody had told you the door was closing. That unguarded self is the real one. Here is what that understanding does now. When you remember your mother strong, before the roles turned, you can stop wishing you had known to memorize it. You were living it. That is better than memorizing it. The last time you ran without thinking about your knee, you were not savoring your body. You were just chasing something, or late for the bus, arms pumping, not counting. And thank God you did not know to make it precious. So drop the idea that you missed those moments. You did not miss them. You were inside them, unaware, which is the only way to be truly inside anything. The unmarked lasts were real precisely because they went unmarked. So no, you can't live every moment braced for its ending. But there is a smaller, gentler thing you can do. You can start catching the good ordinary ones while your hand is still in them. It's not vigilance. Vigilance would ruin it. If you stand at every bedtime wondering if this is the last one, you're not there anymore. You're already grieving something that hasn't left. What I learned to do instead is quieter. In a good plain moment, I just say to myself, silently, "This is nice." That's it. No ceremony. Naming it once so it registers. Your kid's telling you some endless story about their day, and you're only half listening. Try this. Look up. Actually, look at their face for 3 seconds. That's the whole practice. 3 seconds of full attention. Works on the small stuff, too. Your mother laughing on the phone about nothing. The weight of the dog against your leg. The coffee going cold because the conversation was better. This is nice. Noted. Kept. You'll notice something the first week you try it. Most of the moments worth naming are absurdly ordinary. Nobody's crying, nothing's happening, and that turns out to be exactly the point. You don't need a photo. You don't need a journal. Though write it down if you like. You just need to be caught for a breath inside your own life instead of running past it. Here's the mercy of it. You still can't know which one's the last, but you'll have been fully present in 100 of them along the way. Not bracing, just noticing. That's enough. So you start naming the good ordinary moments while they're still warm in your hands. Once you get the habit of it, something occurs to you that changes everything. Not every last time is behind you. Some of them are still ahead of you, still coming. Sitting quietly out there on days that haven't happened yet, days you can actually choose to be awake for this time. Your mother still picks up the phone. You know her voice on the second ring, that little rise in it when she realizes it's you. There will be a last one of those. It just hasn't happened yet. So you don't rush it anymore. You let her tell you the whole story about the neighbor and the fence, even though you've heard it. You are not enduring the call. You are inside it. Awake. The drive to see them, the one you keep postponing because the traffic is bad and the weekend is short. That visit is a last time waiting for a date. Go while going is still an option. And if there's still a kid asking for one more chapter, one more song, one more 5 minutes before lights out, you already know that door is closing. Slowly. You cannot see the last night from here, but you can be there for tonight. That's the whole trick, and it's smaller than you'd think. Not to fear the endings coming, but to spend the ordinary evenings you still have as if they count. Because a few of them are lasts. You just get to be present for these ones. So you get to wake up tomorrow with a few of those endings still ahead of you, not behind. And here is the thing I finally understand about all of it. The goal was never to grieve every ending in advance. If you spend the ordinary days mourning them while they are still happening, you don't hold them any closer. You just lose them twice. Once to the sadness, and again to the calendar. What I know now is that the ordinary days were the whole gift. Not the milestones we framed, the plain ones in between. The dinners, the drives, the nothing afternoons that felt like they'd never run out. Remember the shoulders. That last afternoon your child rode up there, hands in your hair, laughing at how tall the world got. You didn't know it was the last, and I've stopped wishing I had. Because not knowing is what let you carry them without ceremony. Laughing, tired, complaining about the wait. That was the real thing. So don't mourn that it ended. Be grateful you were ever tall enough to carry it at all. If any of this resonated, I'd love to hear it. Tell me in the comments about an ordinary moment you're grateful you got, or one you're still holding on to. And if you'd like to keep thinking through these things together, subscribe and stay a while.